Okay, this video is going to be about escape sequences and formatted strings, which is chapters 2.13 through 2.14 in the Talking Through Code textbook. So, first thing as always, we're going to open PyCharm. And then we're going to open Talking Through Code chapter 2. Now we're going to do new Python file, which we're going to name escape sequences and formatted strings. Right, this is a pretty common pattern now, right? Open PyCharm for the correct project, and then create a new Python file. All right, so escape sequences. These are pairings of characters that let us print things we would otherwise not be able to. For instance, how do you print a new line character? Right? There's no way for us to do it. If we tried, we'd hit enter and it would go to the next line, and then it wouldn't do what we want. It might break our code. So escape sequences, again, are ways to let us do that. So this \n is a new line character. So we run it. Top and bottom are on different lines because the new line character put a new line there. So that's the first one. The next one is for a tab character. So \t is a tab character. We can see that left and right now have this space between them because that's the tab character. Now, if you remember, we can use both single quotes or double quotes for strings in Python. So the next two are what happens if you use one or the other. So let's say that I'm using a single quote for a string. And I want to have a single quote in the middle of this single quoted string. I would do a \, single quote. So \, single quote is a single quote. Now, if I had put double quotes around this, I wouldn't need the \, right? It's just when I'm using single quotes and I also want a single quote that I need this. Along the same lines, if I have double quotes and I want double quotes inside of it, I use \, double quotes. Okay, so these four all make sense. The one that might appear to be an outlier is what if I want to print a single \. In order to print a single \, I have to have two \s now, because the interpreter isn't really smart enough to understand when we'd want a single \ versus when we're starting an escape sequence. So in order to handle that, it just does two \s for a single \. Great, so again, these are just the 5 we care about. And they become useful as our code gets more complicated, right? Maybe we want multiple new line characters. Maybe we want to easily differentiate between sections of code, so we put a new line character somewhere, that sort of thing. So these are escape sequences. The next half is formatted strings, which are also called f-strings. These are a way to format information that's given to us, and it has 5 parts: alignment, width, comma, dot precision, and type. And whenever we're doing formatted strings, these 5 elements have to be in this order. They don't all have to be present every time, but they do have to go in this order. So just super quick, alignment has to do whether it is aligned left, which is the left arrow, center, which is the caret, or right, which is the right symbol. So it's nice, right? The arrows point in the direction of the alignment. And alignment and width really go together because alignment only makes sense if your width is wider than the element you're trying to print. So width equals width of output, and it includes periods and commas and anything the entire width. So a comma, is there a comma every 3 numbers, only for ints and floats? Then we have precision, which is how many decimal places, only for floats. And then we have the type, which is the thing. So it's an S for string. So there can be strings, which is S. There can be integers, which is a D. And there can be floats, which is an F. And integer being D has never been like really explained to me. I just think D for digit, but that's where we're at now. So alignment, width, a comma, precision, and then type. And again, they don't all have to be present every time, but they do have to be in the same order. So let's see what that looks like in a piece of code. So I might do something like print and capital A as an F string. So the F on the left there indicates that it is a formatted string. So this is pretty much like a base formatted string with no formatting. I can do print F, and then in here, so inside the curly braces is where the formatting happens. So I've got a capital A. So that is the thing that's about to be formatted, the thing on the left inside the curly braces. Then I'm going to do a bar, which is above the backslash. And this is where the format specifier goes. This is what makes up that's where the stuff on line 9 is put into. So I might do centered with the width of 11, and it's a string. Oh, sorry, it's a colon, not a bar. So the thing on the left, right, the thing that's going to be formatted, the colon, and then the format specifier on the right. So I've got A, and then it's hard to tell. So let's put in some bars around here. So I'm putting bars on either side of the A's when I run it. We can tell that this A is centered. And it's been padded with spaces on either side. Right? It was too small to be 10 wide, so it got padded with spaces on either side, and then it got centered. So this was using both the alignment and the width. We can't use the comma or the precision on this A because it's not a number, and more specifically, it's not a floating point number. But we did tell it the type, which was an S. Let's look at a number. So print F string So I've denoted that this should have commas, and it's not going to, right? This comma only applies if it's like greater than 1,000, million, billion, right? But we told it because we can. We told it 6 decimal places, and we told it F for being flute. So the decimal places got padded with zeros. That makes sense, right? A 0 in a number like this is like analogous to a space in a string. What happens, you think, if we do, I'm going to do the sin of copy and paste, 0. What if we say 0 decimal places? What does that look like? Well, it looks like just 14. It cut off all of the decimal places. That's nice, right? And we could continue to combine all of these things and play with more, which I encourage you to do. I encourage you to sit down and work with formatted strings to make them better. We want to be careful as we're doing this though, right? What if, I'm going to copy this and make one edit. I'm going to take off the F. Right, I've forgotten the F in the F string. It prints out like this. So I've got to be careful that I include the F whenever I mean a formatted string. I also have to be aware, like here, right, we put information outside of the curly braces. So we could have multiple formatted pieces if we wanted to, but there can be information outside of these formatted things, like these bars. These bars are not being formatted. They're just there. So this is nice for things like printing out dollar amounts, right? Put a dollar sign at the end of it, or at the beginning, before the formatted portion. That sort of thing. All right, final thing, let's look at a formatted integer that has that is long enough to require commas. So that's what it looks like, right? We've got a comma here and a comma here. So if the comma is there and the number is large enough, then it will print out the stuff. All of the commas as it goes. All right, so that was formatted strings. And again, I would encourage you to sort of play with it and see how it works as it goes. That's it. So the next video is going to be an introduction to Turtle Graphics, which is chapters 3.1 through 3.3.